Good afternoon, everyone. This is Lisa in Connecticut. Today is day 9 since I started my feeding project of a 15-pound pumpkin placed inside my urban worm bag that contains a mix of worms, mostly Euros and red wigglers. There happens to be a couple Canadian nightcrawlers, but not very many. So I had predicted originally that I thought it would take 9 days for the pumpkin to be broken down. And I don't mean completely gone. I mean either collapsed inward or collapsed outward. Basically, knocked down to the soil line. If you look back at the first video, it was sticking up as tall as the pumpkin is. I'm not sure, 7 or 8 inches. Now I do have my camera right now on a tripod. I'm going to try this. It's not something I have experience doing, and it's not a great angle because my tripod is short. So if it doesn't work, I'll just go ahead and pick the camera up. I have not been in here the last 2 days, so I'm not sure what to expect. Let me fold this back. Let me move the camera just enough to fold this back. Okay, so first let me try to put the flash on and see if that makes anything better. Not sure if that helps or not. I'm going to try to angle the camera a little better. All right. So the pumpkin is not even with the soil. It's not huge anymore. If you look back, at the first video, it was way, like it was about here in height. You can look at the very first video, and each time we went in here, it got smaller and smaller. Okay, this tripod is not working out. I'm sorry, guys. Terrible camera and terrible camera skills don't lend for very great videos, but I'm trying my best. So it looks like it is, it's completely soft now. It's definitely, see if I touch that, it just breaks. Actually, I'm going to break this off at the soil line here. And the only reason I'm doing this is that I know the contents inside the pumpkin are much wetter than the contents outside the pumpkin. And I believe the reason for that is that the Euros, they're not big fans on climbing and feeding high up. So I don't think they're climbing up and over like the wigglers are. So I want to get them more involved in this because it is starting to get a little smelly, which I guess makes perfect sense. It is decaying. It is a decaying pumpkin. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just scoop around. I'm going to break this down to the soil or to the casting line. It's not soil, although it will be going in my soil. And I'm just going to scoop around the inner edge and pull back. Okay, let me pick this tripod up. I don't have camera skills. If it's in my hand, I can control it, but mounted on a tripod, I guess it's just not my forte. Remind me to stick to other things. Okay. All right, here we go. That's better. I'm just going to try to scoop around. And maybe if I go on this side, the lighting will be a little better. I do have the light on in this room, and we are right in front of a window, but it's a dark corner. And there's just there are thousands of worms, thousands and thousands of worms in here, because not only are they in here, but they are under the pumpkin as well. And I mean, everywhere I scoop, there's a whole lot of worms. So you can see some of the Euros, but they're mostly the wigglers. And I mean, just look at them all, everywhere I pull some of the castings from. Now these castings in the middle, of course, they are muddy and they are stinky. Well, I say muddy, they're wet, they're too wet, but a pumpkin has a lot of moisture in it, so of course it does. That's why I was going to just leave this sit here until the worms completely broke it down, but since the outside is staying so dry and the inside is so wet at this point, I want to be able to mix the two together. If I don't mix them together, then it's going to become, I'm going to get a potworm bloom. I don't want that. So I'm going to just keep digging here just till I get my way around the pumpkin. And the population in this bin is just tremendous. Now, a good portion of these are the ones I collected from my backyard. There are several videos on that. All right, now I want to scoop in the center, like where that bottom hole was. Oh boy, this feels really goopy. Yep, you see my hand? That's unhealthy. So that's why I want to get these things mixed, get the outer castings, the castings from around the pumpkin, mixed in with the castings in the pumpkin. Because I don't want to get the pH off. I'm going to check it. May need a little dolomite lime at this point, but I think it's nothing other than a moisture issue from a 15-pound pumpkin having so much moisture in it. And like there's little babies on my hands. But yes, and that's pure pumpkin juice or pumpkin moisture or whatever the word is to describe liquid that's in vegetables. So you can see where it's decaying in the bottom. So it didn't completely break off at the soil line. Well, it's separated at the soil line. It definitely decayed through, but it hadn't actually completely fallen over. But at this point, I am going to break these pieces apart and bury them throughout the bin. I'm not going to keep the camera going for that long because I want to make sure I do it correctly, and it's going to take a little time. Once I get it buried in and separated, a little bean sprout, I will just do an update to show you what it looks like. Okay, I will pick back up here in a few minutes.